So, how to be a Chad? Not, I wouldn't exactly say I'm a Chad, but there's certainly some things that I've learned in my life that if I could go back to my younger self, I would probably be in a better position if I could tell him these things. So, the first thing is really just having a core set of values, a belief system of just what is right and what is wrong, and actually having that belief system propel your actions. And I know that sounds very vague for the most part, and it does kind of take some time, but I was in some positions, and this is a video I guess for another time, of using my decision making was more based on monetary values than you know the implications of my actions. And again, that's pretty vague, but just having, yeah, it's just morals for the most part, not being impacted by other people's opinions, and just realizing what exactly matters. And a good example of this, ironically, or not ironically, but like a gay guy or a trans or whatever, like coming out of the closet, like that's a fucking Chad move. Like people are gonna have some negative opinions, but you do what you want to do because you want to do it. And that's essentially what this first part is all about. It's just like, screw other people's opinions. I want to do this. This is important to me, so I'm going to go do it. And that's definitely not easy to do, especially for those people in those positions. So another one is, I guess, just understanding what experience in life does. Also vague, but okay, so a good example of this is video games. I'm somebody that has played quite a bit, like 200,000 gamer score. And you think somebody who plays video games, like if a Chad gets joy from playing Xbox, then he should do that, because screw what other people think, right? And that is true, because it's like, well, if you're, who's to say Xbox is any, worse of a use of time than like TV or, messing around with your phone. If you get joy from something, you should do it regardless of what people think. But there is, if you haven't got out of the house, to simply put it, you don't really realize that as you do new things, go to new places, see new people, do new things and new experiences, that you grow, that you can actually change quite a bit, and for the better. And you might realize that putting at least that much time, if you play quite a bit, isn't something you want to do anymore. It's just like putting that much mental bandwidth, especially there's a lot of games, a lot of live service games out there today where you're just grinding and grinding, and it's like you might reach a point like, what the hell am I doing? Because the enjoyment part, especially when you're competing with so many people in these types of games, and it's like, God, this is a fucking waste of time. And it might not be. Again, it really depends, but you don't really know that you do change over time. And just recognizing that, yeah, you only have so much mental bandwidth, and with time you might put that towards other things if you just get out of the house. That might be controversial, who knows. I guess I shouldn't say include how to be a Chad without building a good physique. And absolutely, like the discipline, the habit forming, that's super important. But I know for me, when I was like 20, 21 or whatever, I recognized that like time was passing so quickly. Like the years were just passing by, and I didn't have anything to show for it. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I still don't. But just knowing that if you're going to the gym and if you built up those habits, that if 1 year, 2 year, 5 year passes or whatever, at least you have that. At least you've built up muscle mass and have done something that's very, very difficult, because it takes an incredible amount of time. And if, just having that foundation of something that will grow over time, and you'll have something to show for it, essentially, is what I'm getting at. And that was really important, and it's something actually, I mean, I don't have a great body, but I've I, I understood and I took advantage of it for the most part. um, I wrote down here, I have a more thorough article on this. I'll put in the comments, but appearance, focusing on your appearance, not really realizing how good a lot of people can look. I should probably make some content about this, but anyways, just like there's so many changes that you can make, right? Fitted clothes and getting a tan and fixing any negatives, whatever that may be. And life is easier when you when you are better looking, and I think a lot of people don't realize how good they can actually look. Now the big one is, for me, recognizing that you don't need the rat race. And this isn't like a defeatist view. It's really the opposite. And so I'm just trying to think how I can put this into words, but essentially, when you're having the carrot on the stick, essentially, is what the problem is when you're like engaging in the rat race. When your happiness is focused on a number or a circumstance or a promotion or whatever it may be, you will always there will always be something else. And if you're actually like legitimately happy with having like your bases covered, like if there's a roof over your head, if you if you can pay your bills, if there's food on the table, that it's very easy to assume that if you're happy with the bare minimum, that you're not exactly driven, or that you won't be driven, that you're not going to be incentivized to go after things because you already have all your needs met. But I think that's very far from the truth. I think it really comes down to a large part of like first experiencing gratitude, of being like very, very grateful for what you have. And when good things do happen, that they can build a significant amount of positive momentum, and you can still really want things and still go after them. But when you're actually legitimately at your core happy with getting your needs met, then when things don't go your way, you're not going to be as negatively impacted. Like, yeah, you're still working hard, or whatever it may be, or whatever career path, whatever. And when bad things happen, it's still disappointment. But when you're actually experiencing gratitude, when you practice gratitude, or rather, and are happy for having your needs met, those bad things aren't that bad, and the good things that do happen are just that much better. And if you don't, it is like scientifically backed up gratitude as well. You can look it up. If you get like a journal, I know there's the YouTube channel Chris Kazart. I obviously butchered that. They made a good video on it, and yeah, just like writing down what you're grateful for, whatever that may be, and just recognizing that, and just if everything went to shit, if you were still you could still be disappointed, but if you're still more or less happy, then I think you're in a really good position to achieve big things, bigger than if you were engaging in the rat race. Because I think if you are in a position where the carrot is always on the stick, once you reach your goal, whatever that may be, and I've been in that position. I've achieved something that I wanted, and then it was immediately like, oh, that thing actually wasn't really that important. This goal is the big fucking goal that I want. That's the real thing. And it's just like, okay, then that happens if you achieve that. And you'll burn out because there's always going to be something else. And of course, when things happen, when you don't reach your goal, or when things get put off, you're just that much more negatively affected, and it sucks. And you can take things a lot more in stride if you don't actively engage in the rat race. And this one's getting pretty long here. I have a lot more here, but being able to depend on yourself, being reliant, you can still, others can still add value to your life. But I know a lot of guys, they just like need a girl in their life. They're just like instantly lonely if a girl breaks up, and they just can't stand being with themselves and just having the character development to be okay with just yourself. That's something I've certainly took some time to learn. And for me, also just like recognize that you can get laid a lot without being a player. And I think, this isn't really talked about, but like a lot of guys, like a lot of boys, we're 1 second here. I gotta learn to do jump cuts. We're kind of, when we grow up, we're kind of enforced, we're culturally told that being a player is cool. Like, think about how many movies and TV shows, like it's not even a guy that gets laid a lot, but like a guy that is an asshole to women is something to strive for. I mean, even like watching Two and a Half Men a lot when I was growing up. I mean, Charlie Sheen, that's kind of like what we're kind of told as like a role model to go for. And you could still get laid a lot. And I think recognizing that you don't need to be an asshole, that there is a middle ground where you can hook up with just as much women, and just, being a bit more selective for choosing those who want the same thing as you. And I know a lot of guys, it's like women just might not come around enough, and they just got to take anything that they can get. But again, this is essentially what I built my site around. But just recognizing that you really don't need to go down that avenue. But anyway, this video is getting way too long. But let me know what you guys think. If there's anything else, if there's any lessons that you've learned in your life, I'd like to hear about them. Peace.